Hey everyone, it's Jamie from IndependenceStNola and Seasonsinritual, and I'm just jumping on today to talk a little bit about the Goddess Vesta. I know that when I give, my updates and when Helen and I do our updates, all the planets are based on the gods and goddesses. So lucky for me, when I was in high school, I had a great mythology teacher. So thank you, Miss Ritter. I know in high school I was like, why the hell am I learning about this stuff? And then here we are. It's totally paid off. But I know it's not something that we think about every day. So I thought I'd come on and talk a little bit about Vesta, who is a Greek goddess. I just realized my microphone was right here. I'm sorry. And also, it's important to know that, let me just say this. I think it's important. I believe that mythology does change. I do believe that it does change in order to suit what is happening in this day and time. And so it's important to know, to me, I believe we all are on our own hero's journey. And so, yes, having this background in mythology, for what I do is extremely important. But also know that when I speak of these myths, I do see how they are changing and growing in order to support us today. So I'm going to read straight from this book, The Encyclopedia of Spirits. It's a great book to have in your repertoire if you like books, I guess, especially if you're kind of into this stuff. It has spirits, it has goddesses, it has everything. So let's get started. I'm just going to read straight from the book. So Vesta, her origin is from Italy. Vesta, Lady of the Flame, Guardian of the Hearth, was the preeminent goddess of Rome. Her name may derive from a root word meaning to burn. Although Vesta is identified with the Greek hearth goddess Hestia, and they possess much in common, they are not the same. Vesta was venerated in Italy long before her identification with Hestia, and played a far more significant role in Roman religion than Hestia did in Greece. Vesta was included in virtually every Roman sacrifice. She was consistently the last deity invoked during ceremonies, the polar opposite of Janus. Vesta's small circular temple in the Roman Forum was the epicenter of Roman life and religion. Its round shape marked it as architecturally unusual and companion to standard quadrangular Roman temples. Vesta's temple was designed to recall the round huts of the earliest Romans. Vesta was the goddess of Rome's origins, so sacred and powerful that her archaic traditions could not be changed, even when they fell from fashion elsewhere. Vesta was the last and ultimately only Roman deity served exclusively by female priesthood. Vesta's fire priestesses, the famed Vestal Virgins, lived next door to her temple in a large building arranged around an atrium. 6 Vestal Virgins were chosen in childhood by Rome's high priest, the Pontificus Maximus, from among the daughters of Rome's most noble families. It was considered an exceptional honor to be asked to serve. Compared to the average Roman woman, the Vestal Virgins possessed many legal and economic privileges, although they also lived under severe restrictions and threat of penalty. Vestal Virgins served Vesta for 30 years. 10 spent learning the mysteries of Vesta, 10 in service to Vesta, and 10 training their replacements. They were sworn to celibacy for the 30 years of their service, but could marry afterwards. Because they entered Vesta's service so young, they were not old women at its conclusion. If a Vestal broke her vow, she was whipped, then buried alive within the boundaries of Rome. Her lover was publicly whipped to death. Oof. The Vestal Virgins were considered so sacred that if they walked past a condemned man, he was instantly pardoned. The primary role of the Vestal Virgins was ensuring that Rome's sacred flame never went out. If it did, the Vestals were scourged. Oof. If the fire ever went out, it can only be relit the old-fashioned way by rubbing 2 sticks together. The fire cannot be brought from elsewhere. Vestal Virgins were also responsible for creating mola salsa, sacred ritual salt cakes. Mola salsa was offered to Vesta as a sacrifice. It was also sprinkled on animals before their sacrifice to other deities and used to purify space. Mola salsa was prepared with water drawn exclusively from Janita's well and carried in vessels that were impossible to set down without spilling the contents. Specifically prepared salt was pounded with the mortar and then sliced with an archaic iron saw. The salt was mixed with farro, wheat gathered on May 7th, 9th, and 11th only. Roman Emperor Gratian ruled 367 to 378 CE. Hostile to paganism, stopped paying the Vestal virgins their established salary, diverting funds to the Imperial Postal Service instead. Vesta's official fire was finally extinguished in 394 CE when Emperor Theodosius banned all devotion to pagan spirits. Vesta was also venerated in homes. She is present in all flames. Offerings to Vesta are placed directly into the fire. She is an oracular spirit. Information is obtained from Vesta via flame gazing. All right, Vesta powder. Speaking of Vesta and flames, I'm having a problem with my bra strap, which has nothing to do with Vesta or flames. Okay. Vesta powder is a highly combustible, mass-produced occult powder used to honor Vesta and dispel general negativity, including gossip, evil spirits, and disturbing auras. It is sometimes sprinkled, but more frequently burned in a fireplace, cauldron, or an incense burner. Handled with care, it lights with a bang, producing a sudden leaping, flashing flame followed by lots of white smoke. Favored people by Vesta are bakers and millers. Her iconography, Vesta was rarely portrayed and even then usually veiled. Instead, she is represented by fire. Her emblem is the flame, her element is fire, her animal is the donkey, which I'm not sure why. Mineral is saltpeter, which is potassium nitrate. Her tree is bay laurel. Sacred dates, which if you get the Seasons and Ritual calendar, this is listed. Her festival, the Vestalia, 9th through June to the 15th of June. From the 7th to the 15th of June, her sanctuary was open to women exclusively. Women entered her shrine barefoot. The 15th was the day for cleaning her shrine. Dirt was disposed of in the Tiber River. March 1st, the first day of the Roman year when Vesta's fire was ritually relit. The new year was moved to January 1st in 153 BCE, honoring Janus. And so you guys could look up Janus too and see how he came in. The vernal equinox. Branches of bay laurel before the temple of Vesta were discarded. Okay, so I hope this gives you a little background of Vesta and to see how much she was revered in Rome and all of Italy, and that the Vestal virgins who took care of her flame were so revered. And I also think it's really interesting that they, understood at a deep level that you have to learn, and then you have to give, then you give what you learn, and then you teach afterwards. You make sure that flame keeps going. I do appreciate, she is always with the hearth and with the home. And if you wanted to do ritual with her, like it said, it would be to looking into a flame. It would be flame gazing for Vesta. She is, to me, the divine feminine. I think it's wonderful, as Helen and I have been talking in our weekly horoscope chats, that Vesta and the sun, which is, the sun, the way we read the sun is the masculine. And so Vesta and the sun are working together a lot right now, this week. And I feel like that's a real reconnection to our flames, but really our masculine and feminine starting to work together. That masculine in us really starting to honor the wisdom of the sacred flame that is the divine feminine. So If you guys have any questions about Vesta, or if you guys work with Vesta, please leave so in the comments. Of course, if you would like to reach out to me anyway, please leave in the comments. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, or in my website. Thanks for reaching in. It is Jazz Fest, the first weekend of Jazz Fest here in New Orleans. So it's getting busy. It's getting so busy here in the city. If you're coming to visit, welcome. What they always say, I don't know, like 20 thoughts went through my head. But anyway, have fun at Jazz Fest. Drink lots of water. Be patient with people. There's a lot of people in town. And I'm going to come back on and talk about Venus soon. I'm going to read from the same book, but just to give us some background on our sweet, sweet Venus, it is Taurus season and she rules Taurus. So till next time, have a great week.